Devil in a red dress. Call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand on the trigger.
China is actually changing the history of the, not only the history of the mythical dynasty Xia, but China is not shy to go even further.
Well, let's take a look. I mean, what can we see here in this adorable picture?
In the last 100 years, I mean, it happens like at the beginning of 20th century, China decided that we'll reach further and went half a million years ago.
Wow. So,
Apparently, this culture represents the founding from 1927 near Beijing. This is called Peking Man, which is apparently Homo erectus that came from Africa. But China started claiming that, from Homo erectus mixed in with other species that came later from Africa, created some kind of new human beings that are like predecessors to the not only Chinese people but probably all Asian people.
wow, that's interesting. I mean, yes, we know that the Peking man was a subspecies of Homo erectus, which would be found in
Right,
other parts of Asia as well. And
yeah,
but
correct.
there is no record, to indicate that they would have in any shape or form contributed to our current genetic makeup. And most likely, this was a completely different branch of um, prehistoric people that have died out.
No, 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 no. Chinese researchers believe, I want to persuade, I want to find a proof that the humanity first evolved in Asia, not in Africa.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I have yet to see this kind of proof. I mean, as far as we know, okay, some Homo erectus subspecies remained in Europe and might have evolved into the Neanderthals. But
Right?
this is as close of a link that we can come up with. While it is true, that people migrated back and forth, there is no, mm, there is only, so far we've only found support, of Homo sapiens migrating out of Africa and then populating the world.
Yeah, it was kind of proved already, but the Chinese keep trying to find a proof that the hominins descended from Homo erectus in Asia and probably interbred with incoming groups from Africa and other parts of Eurasia, and their progeny gave rise to the ancestor of modern East Asians. That's what I'm trying to prove.
Well, because I mean, then it's easy to claim, wow, well, we are the bearers of humanity, of human culture. We are kind
Yeah,
of the center of the world. You can't, and by extension, I guess you can't criticize us for doing something,
yeah.
right?
We gave you this new Homo, whatever it is, Homo sapiens sapiens probably.
Yes.
So these studies of, but the studies of Chinese population show that 97.4% of their genetic makeup is from ancestral modern humans from Africa.
Yeah.
And the rest, like 3.6% from extinct forms such as Neanderthals and Denisovans. Only recently they found out there were Neanderthals also as far as East Asia,
Right. Yeah.
and we know now, like 15 years from like not many years ago, they found out that yes, Homo sapiens sapiens could interbred with Neanderthals, and they did
Yes.
interbred with Neanderthals.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes complete sense. Like there is no doubts about it. But Chinese keep trying, and when you ask them for some new archaeological foundings, they just refuse. They don't cooperate.
But there is no support so far for this kind of a wild theory that, I mean, it's kind of very simplistic. Just because they found an ancient skeleton of a hominid in Beijing, this doesn't necessarily mean that yeah, these are our ancestors, right?
This nationalism, this part of the
It, it,
Chinese
it, it kind
nationalism.
of seems like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. They deny. They said nothing to do with nationalism. It's about the proofs, but there no, there's
But
nothing.
then
They never
this kind of a research should be focused on the research, and then you draw the conclusions later, right? You
they
don't
know
you
that.
don't come up with funding and ideas, to make the evidence support your
Mm,
hypothesis. Yeah, you look at the
mm,
facts, and then you can see if your hypothesis is supported or not.
mm. Yeah, yeah, right, 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 right.
Yeah, but as wild as this may sound, I think there are some even wilder things
Really.
that have come about. Yeah, let's have a look over
Uh,
here. Wow, what can we see here? This is the Sphinx.
Sphinx,
Yeah.
Sphinx in Giza. Yeah. So what's wrong with them? What's wrong with it? Looks perfectly ancient.
Well, no. Apparently, to one Chinese researcher from Zhejiang University, Huang Hejing, he
Huh.
found some bizarre theories from Joseph Davidovitz and other researchers who would claim that um, these kinds of artifacts, they were constructed later in the 19th century by Westerners in Egypt. Now, why? I know it's funny. Why
Why
would
would they
he?
do
Why
that?
would he claim something like that?
No, why would the Westerners be helping to improve the Egyptian history
Yeah,
by
that's a
constructing
good point. Yeah.
concrete sculptures for no reason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? I don't know. Make some older relics. Some older. Why wouldn't they fake some older relics in France or elsewhere?
Yeah. Why would they do that? Are they crazy?
Well, the conclusion that Huang Heching came to was he never actually went there to look at the at these
Huh.
are at these findings. He would just look at
No.
the pictures and conclude, well, it's the Westerners
Ah.
that they want to undermine our culture by looking at, oh, other places are older. It's a very large logical leap. Yeah.
These evil Western scholars are fabricating the history to diminish the glory of China.
And he is not
Unbelievable.
the only one. You have other writers as well. For example, Zhou Youzhi would go on to claim, that primitive Europe was brought into civilizations of the world by China, from which it obtained, and he mentions all kinds of things, writing, technology, including my favorite, democracy, philosophy, and history.
Everything.
Yeah,
Completely
it's a
everything.
great range.
He claims that Renaissance of classical Western civilization and the age of enlightenment was a product of contact with Chinese civilization.
Yes, this is another researcher, Mr. Dong. Dong Bisheng,
Uh-huh.
he would. I don't know where he came up with this. Honestly, I guess maybe he came across the historical records that the Chinese would sell their porcelain to Europe, which would become very popular in Europe. So maybe this led to the Renaissance. I don't know. It was. It must have been the porcelain silverware.
And selling the tea. Also, the tea helped a
I'm
lot.
sure it did. Yeah.
Yes. So this guy, Du Ganjian, explains how human civilization originated in the southwestern region of China. And ancient Chinese people moved westward. The Chinese people came
Oh
here,
wow.
creating
Yeah.
ancient Greek and Roman civilizations.
I mean, you do see these kinds of nut jobs pop up everywhere. These kinds of wild claims, but yeah, there's
That every world civilization is Chinese in origin and in nature. Everyone.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's more of this in China or if Chinese researchers are more isolated from world research. I'm thinking that's not the case. It's probably these are just some ran
But these are not
ran.
just some people.
The
This
problem,
Huang
yeah, the
Huiqing
problem is
is a
they are researchers.
professor.
Yeah,
He's a professor at School of Arts and Archaeology at Zhejiang University.
yeah, that's what bothers me.
He's not just anybody. The Chinese government is just supporting this kind of crazy people
Yes.
purposely,
Yeah.
just to keep alive. This
Wow.
idea that the civilization every civilization came from China, and the world was just hurting China, weakening the glory of Chinese civilization. Uh,
How ungrateful.
what's the motto of the Zhejiang University?
This was good. This was something.
Yeah.
I think we can translate it as seeking the truth and pursuing
Seeking truth.
innovation. I think Professor Huang focused more on pursuing innovation rather than seeking the truth.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So yeah, I mean, obviously this is ridiculous, but yeah, so sometimes you do see these kinds of funny things come out
What
and
else did
change.
they hear? Other funny things.
Well, I mean, the other things, I don't know if they're quite as funny, but maybe they are somewhat ridiculous. What do
Uh-huh.
we see here?
Oh, I see China on the top, and there is a Vietnam, and there are Philippines on the right, and Malaysia on the south.
Yeah, but what we also see, these islands here, and we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a 9 dash line.
Huh? What happened? Well, it means it belongs to China.
Well, I remember I was still talking with a friend of mine some time ago, and
Uh-huh.
I showed him a T-shirt with the map
Okay.
of China, and obviously, it included Taiwan. And he said, "Well, that's great.
Uh,
Oh, now all they need to do is include the 9 dash line." And I told him, "No, look carefully. It's there. It was on the T-shirt as part of the map." Yeah.
right.
Now,
Yes.
it's funny, or I wouldn't even use the
Uh-huh.
word funny, kind of ridiculous, because you see how close it comes to the other countries, towards the Philippines, yeah,
Uh-huh.
Malaysia, Brunei, Vietnam, right? It's like no shame.
No shame. No shame. And this is not even invention of the CCP. It started in 1947 by the Republic of China government. December 1st, 1947, with Chiang Kai-shek's government, the nationalists. They came up with this idea according to some old map they found somewhere. or written, made by some cartographer, I don't know when, and basically they everything based on this old map that includes all this territory, like 70% of the South China Sea. That's it. That's it. Just
So
one map.
so if so if China owned it before, it's still theirs to keep. If we can find it on a map, we it should still be ours.
Yes, just one map. That's
How
it.
simple,
Just found a map.
yeah. No, none of this complicated UN Convention on the Law of the Sea stuff. Right?
No, China doesn't obey any international law. China is breaking every international law. In January 2013, the Philippines eventually got fed up and initiated arbitration proceeding against China under the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea.
Be- because
And
according to that,
in-
if a country can own a certain area that is close to its coast, but cannot own something which is very far. Right? It's not theirs to
yes,
own.
yes, yes, there are international waters
No.
that everybody should respect.
So I would imagine,
And
this is what the arbitration came down to, right? I mean, what was the result?
3.5 years later, the tribunal ruled in favor of the Philippines on most of its
Okay,
submissions.
makes sense.
What did China do? China decided to ignore the findings of the court,
Okay.
and Xi Jinping said that China rejected the ruling, calling it ill-founded, and Xi Jinping said that China's territorial sovereignty and marine rights in the South China Sea will not be affected by the so-called Philippine-South China Sea ruling in any way. But eventually China said they will still commit to resolving the disputes with its neighbors, which they
Yeah,
didn't.
well, they have
They
to
did not.
say something, but the question is,
Yes.
how truly committed are they? If they don't respect the arbitration,
They are
or
not.
if,
They
if the
understand
other if
only.
Philippines had to resort to an arbitration in the first place.
No. No.
So yeah, not China. It looks like China is not an easy neighbor, kind of an expansive neighbor, right?
China has
Moving
territory
from the
in every country. Yeah.
the Yellow River Basin,
Mhm.
the lower
Mhm.
Yellow River Basin, all the way down to the sea.
Yeah.
Quite a
Yeah. It was very peaceful time. Nobody was there, so why don't we take it, right?
sure,
You
yeah.
know?
I'm sure that's how it was.
It was empty. It looked empty. Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is not
Yeah.
the only thing that China is trying to get to. I mean, essentially, China, the current government is looking at this because they want to control the shipping lanes. This is the reason why.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because China wants to be able to export its products. This is how China has become richer. What it has based its economy on over the past 30 years or so.
Uh-huh.
And they also need to import resources. Right? So the Belt and Road Initiative, is moving, as we've mentioned, on land and on the sea. But now I think they want to
Yeah.
also have a way to go towards the Arctic. What can we see here?
Well, we'll see the black line on the top is the Arctic line, the
Yeah,
Arctic
yeah,
Circle,
it's
and all
already.
the countries in light blue are the Arctic states.
Because essentially countries, which cross, or at least, if you look at Iceland, at least touch the Arctic Circle a little bit. Yeah,
Right. So there are 8 of them.
makes sense.
There is Russia, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Denmark, United States, and Canada.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Now, of course, when the Arctic Council was established, countries that I guess were interested or wanted to do more research, they could apply as observer states, right? But obviously
Right.
they are non-Arctic states, yeah, because they are
Uh-huh.
nowhere near the Arctic. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, the countries which are closer to the Arctic, to them, this is more of a concern, especially, for example, for
Uh-huh.
climate change or for future resources or whatever. So, China is kind of far from there. Well, what did China begin to call itself? Right? Non-Arctic doesn't
Well,
sound very good. Yeah.
yeah. So China came up with a new description, how to push itself to this special club and declared itself a near Arctic state.
Near Arctic state. First of
Near
all,
Arctic state.
it's not nowhere near the waters that we have around the Arctic, right?
No,
Other
it shouldn't go
countries are
far.
yeah, other countries are a lot closer. The UK, Germany, Poland. They
Yeah.
are right around the same area, yeah, and they're border.
Hey,
They border the sea. They could
yes.
easily
Yes.
say, well, we are near Arctic states too.
There's no shame. China has no shame. Just to push into the club, like imagine like
Kind of seems like that, huh?
analogy, like if China, like let's say you play tennis, and for some reason you want to be seen as like a golf player.
Okay.
You come to all the players who play golf and say, listen, I play tennis, you play golf. Look, you have ball, I have ball. So I'm a nearly
A
golf
near golf
player.
player, right?
As can be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
just like you guys.
Yeah, sounds better than a non-golf player. Maybe now I can
Yeah.
just not just be an observer. Maybe I can participate a little bit. Or if I do my own things in there, then you shouldn't say,
Uh-huh.
well, you shouldn't do that. But we are close. We just want
No,
that.
Belt and Road Initiative. We want to help people. Why don't you let us
What are
help?
they going to deliver goods to the polar bears
Yeah.
at the North Pole? I don't get it. I mean, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Unbelievable. And I know some of the Arctic member committee said like there is there are Arctic states and non-Arctic states. There is not third category. There is nothing like near Arctic state.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't
So
doesn't make sense, because then everyone where do you put another line? Where do you determine another
yes,
line? Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Also, so
yeah.
I mean,
That's
we've China really seen come a long way, from the Huanghe, the Yellow River Basin, all the way to the Arctic. Wow, what a journey it's
right.
been, and only five
Yeah,
thousand years.
yeah. 5,000 years. That's what they say in continuous civilization. That's what they say. What they say.
So I mean, great success, but that doesn't mean that just because China had developed its writing around the Yellow River Basin over 3,000 years ago, doesn't that doesn't mean or imply that China can do whatever they want, or that you know, we should judge China based on its past successes or mistakes.
Mm, yeah, I agree.
So China will have to, you know, will
Try
have
harder.
to sometime we'll have to drop this idea of this kind of a silly nationalism of pretending, well, we are good, we are so clever, we have an old civilization, but everyone keeps hurting us, because this is not realistic and not very normal, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the West should be straightforward. Stop entertaining this Chinese nonsense about the continuous civilization and 5,000 years of history. Just tell them, no, you are not. It's nothing personal. You have a great civilization. You had great achievements. Just be proud of it. We admire you in many ways. What your ancestors achieved, but it has limits. You cannot just take everything. I mean, you just all and you will get respect after you show respect and you start telling truth. Stop lying. Stop deceiving. Improve the lives of the people who live in China and stop just trying to gain more territory like some colonial power, for no reason. Just
No,
just
it's a very good point.
China should be told to stop, and nobody should be entertaining this idea anymore.
Yeah,
Just be straightforward.
I mean, you
Yeah.
have to be honest with just like you have to be honest with people, you have to be honest with countries as well.
Yeah, you have to be straight with them also. They are just like a spoiled kid that just misbehaves over and over
Very
again,
good
and
point.
they
And if somebody's allowed to get away with something, then they might start to think, well, okay, well, this is the way things work. But eventually, they're going to realize that you know, that's not how it works.
yeah. What I worry about the most is that if you keep repeating the same lie over and over, maybe at some point they start really believing. That's the truth. This China is like somebody with some mental problems that need to be told, that you need some help. Just because they might need help. They cannot help themselves.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't ignore problems, and you can't everyone telling you now it's okay.
Yeah, you're
We'll
normal. You're not crazy. You're fine. You're just different. You know. No, just tell them you're
at
crazy.
some point you're going to have to you will be confronted with the reality, and then this can be more painful.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that could be the conclusion of our podcast today.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we will see a lot of funny things like this. A
Yeah.
little ridiculous, but it was fun to go through this.
Yeah, it was very funny. Yeah, it was very entertaining. Thanks, Tito.
All right. Well, thanks to you, and yeah, take care, and let's see what comes up in the future.
Yeah, let's see.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care and see you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.